This is the Qu-Bit Chord. It's a 4-note polyphonic digital wavetable oscillator in just 14 HP. So first let's take a look at the controls, inputs and outputs, and then we'll get into what it can do and how it sounds. You've got coarse and fine tuning controls here in the center, along with an input attenuator for linear frequency modulation. On the left are a knob to select the wavetable bank and another knob to sweep through waveforms. Both bank and waveform also have a CV input that will sum with the current knob position. There's 8 factory wavetables. You can see the selected wavetable with the LEDs when you're scrolling through the bank. And you can also load your own custom wavetables using the micro SD card slot in the front there. Then you have 3 buttons and 2 knobs to control what kind of chord it's playing, but these also determine how the 4 inputs along the bottom will behave, and how the corresponding outputs will behave too. You can sweep between good and bad chords with the quality knob. Just kidding. It determines the type of chord as in major, minor, dominant, diminished, and so on. And each of the 4 voices has an independent output, and there's a mix output as well. The first thing I want to demonstrate is how smooth the wavetable morphing is. So you can select a bank. You can hear there's no abrupt stepping as it changes from one waveform to another. It does ship with another wavetable bank in the custom bank that you can access by holding the mode button. I found this one wasn't quite so smooth, but you can replace it by just putting a wave file on the SD card, and it basically translates that wave file into 8 banks of 8 waveforms or one massive 64 waveform bank, depending on how you configure your settings. That actually sounds better than I remember it. You can also use Synthesis Technology's Wave Edit software to create your own wavetables for chord. The mode button scrolls through 4 different options that determine how chord will work. With it off, you're in the regular mode where basically what you see on the panel is what you get, but the lead input is disabled. Blue is melody mode, and this turns the 7th into a separate voice from the rest of the chord, and you can use the lead CV input to control it. You can take the 7th out of the mix output by pressing the triad button there. Green is free poly mode, and this reassigns the controls and inputs so you can control each input separately. So now the coarse and fine and voice and quality knobs each control a separate voice, as opposed to unison poly mode, where the coarse and fine tuning controls still control all the voices, but you can still control them separately with independent CV inputs. The harm button selects different quantization modes, which will sometimes deactivate the quality knob. So blue is major, green is minor, and teal is harmonic, but that's only available in some of the modes. So chord makes it pretty easy to set up beautiful sounding chords in your modular. And with just a little bit of modulation, you can set up a really nice progression. And modulating the waveform sounds really nice. As I mentioned, the wavetable morphing is really smooth and it sounds great, but it would be nice to be able to offset or spread the waveforms for the voices. One other thing is that I wish the linear FM came in more subtly. I find I almost always want it pretty much off, so even if I have that turned way down, so you almost want to attenuate things before you send it to the linear FM input, even though it has an attenuator. Or you can make things really extreme. I found the mode navigation a little confusing in terms of remembering which color does what, but I can imagine that wouldn't be much of an issue, as most users will pick a mode that works best for them and then stick with that. But really those are pretty minor gripes, and I think Chord delivers on what it's made for. Chords.